Good evening. So Donald Trump inaugurated the new and improved Rose Garden this evening, where he called cement stone, and somebody went, "War, yeah!" And I swear to God, it looked like Mike Johnson genuflected or kowtowed to Donald Trump. All in all, a completely embarrassing kind of evening on a tacky patio that looks more like it should be in the Florida Panhandle than at the White House. But before we get into that, please hit like and subscribe, and any comments can go in there. I'll respond as I'm able. I'd like to I'd like to point out something that happened earlier today, which is Melania Trump's almost disappearing accent. I'm going to play this clip here. This happened a few days ago or like a week ago or so. But I just saw the video today. But I want everybody to pay attention and listen to, I'm going to compare something that happened today with the accent from then. So now listen to her accent here, how she says rowboats, and yeah, her normal accent, really.
Responsibility to prepare children in America. Cars now steer themselves through our cities. Robots hold steady hands in the operating room. And drones are redefining the future of war. Innovations of first-generation humanoids, factory automation, and autonomous vehicles have surged from private sector investment. Every one of these advancements is powered by AI.
I'm just going to say this for the record right now. Whoever her speechwriter was is not a fan of hers. I'm just going to point that out right now.
The robots are here. Our future is no longer science fiction. Data from the Bureau of Economic Analysis shows that AI innovation is clearly boosting America's GDP growth.
Okay, I think you get the point on that one. Now go to this video with her. Now let's go.
After your phone call with Ukrainian President Zelensky today, do you plan to speak with?
Yeah, this video comes from Midas Touch, but the audio is pretty clear when she starts talking to him. And I just want everyone to notice the disappearing accent.
Russia's President Putin in the near future.
What?
If you will speak with President Putin in the near future.
I will be, yeah, I will be.
Where'd it go? Where'd the accent go? Like, that was entirely audible and legible. Or legible is more writing, but still, I mean, you could totally understand what she was saying versus the usual. So that was just one weird thing that I wanted to point out before we get into the Rose Garden speech, because this is just an example. Like, what is real with any of these people? What is the authentic version of themselves versus just whatever crap they're trying to pawn off on us? Next thing I wanted to cover is the actual Venezuelan boat strike. There's a few issues with that. I'm all for sinking some drug boats and everything else. Like, yeah, go us. I think probably the Coast Guard should be doing that, not the Navy. But to each his own. I just have some issues with it because there's a few things. One, this is the boat. This is a boat that would not be out of place on Lake Michigan or another small lake in the Midwest, or even just on the intercoastal waterway around South Carolina or something like that. That's that type of boat. It may be bigger than it looks on video. However, I'm thinking it doesn't have massive fuel storage. And this is a boat that was supposed to go from Venezuela to the US. Now, let's look at where it was actually sunk. And I'm going to share this. Okay. So this right here is where they sunk the boat full of 11 drug traffickers that were headed to the United States. Okay, not very far off the coast of Venezuela. Now, because yes, a lot of Americans are geographically challenged, let's show a map of the Caribbean. And here it is. So this boat, which looks like a speedboat, that again would not be out of place on Lake Michigan or Lake Erie, you know, boat that people would be skiing behind or tubing. And if you're familiar with boats at all, you would know those have to be refueled fairly often. It was sunk about here. And we're supposed to believe that boat was a grave danger to the United States because that speedboat was going to go from here to up here with no refueling in between. And 11 people on board. I'm not saying that it wasn't a drug mule boat. I'm not saying it wasn't a narco gang. I mean, Venezuela is run by a narco state. However, I think there might be some questions raised as to how that boat was going to go from here to here on one tank of gas. I think it's worth asking the question. I think it's worth maybe pointing out the logical flaws in the explanation. So now we're going to get to the bulk of the story. If you're with me so far, I appreciate you sticking around. Please hit like and subscribe. And we're going to get to this weird speech in front of the desecrated rose garden. Yeah, and I'll say it's desecrated. It now looks like a cheap-ass patio.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Hello. That's the first word I said in this beautiful setting. We have worked very hard to bring it to fruition, and not an easy situation, but it's something that I think we're all going to enjoy for many, many years to come. It's a tremendous place. This is the Rose Garden. We never touched a rose. The roses are...
Okay, seriously. Look at that thing. That looks awful. It just looks tacky and terrible. It looks like a cheap resort patio. It does. I'm not going to shy away from that one. It looks awful.
in full bloom, and they will be in full bloom during certain seasons, but we never touched. I tell you what we did. The grass was not usable.
Who knew roses bloom in certain seasons?
Every time we'd have a press conference, women in particular were sinking deep into the mud. And at some point I said, you know, it's time to make the change. We picked a great stone, and we have a great speaker system, I hope. I hope everybody hears us perfectly. But a lot of people are wondering why you're...
Again, great stone. It's concrete. It's not, it's concrete. You didn't pick a great stone. And I'm just going to point out, anybody who lives in a place where there is ice and winter, they picked a porous concrete texture.
Here tonight, and I'll tell you very simply why you're here, because you are the ones that I never had to call at 4 o'clock in the morning. Ronald Reagan was second. He got 56. Is that right? I got 77 out of 77, and I did it 3 times. So I happen to love the state of Oklahoma, and I'm going to ask James Langford to come up and say grace, and he's very good at it. He's a religious guy, and we love him, and you've done...
Well, I'm all for some prayer. I'm just going to fast forward this one.
Back to why you got invited. So I'd get a call from the speaker, and it'd say, sir, we have 16...
I'm going to point out one thing, given the health rumors and stuff like that. Notice how he's holding that microphone. He has held microphones like that in the past. I actually did look this up. However, in places like this, he does normally grip the microphone like this, and he is not doing that. His hands are swollen. I mean, you can clearly see that his hands are very swollen.
Any country has ever had. We're going to have over 17 trillion, and that number is going to go much higher than that, invested in a few months. I'm so happy about that, but I'm really happy when you see almost $17 trillion will be invested in this country over the next few months.
Okay, that is an absolutely BS number. That is, anybody who believes that number has to be brain dead. That number over the next few months, that number is astronomically high. For that to make sense, the entire US budget for the year is $6 trillion. So he is literally saying that over the next several months, almost triple the US budget, the entire federal budget, is going to be invested in the United States.
So today I gave them about a 3-hour press conferences on changing the name of the Department of Defense to the Department of War. Because,
Okay.
you know, we won.
What, real quick, who was that asshole that is like the only person in the room to be like, war, yeah? Seriously, dude? It's not a football team.
World War I, World War II, everything in between and everything in front of it. It was called Department of War. Mike, I want to thank you for being a great speaker. You've been really outstanding, and working with you has been an honor.
Look
and
at that.
thank you, and congratulations.
Look, I'm gonna rewind that. Watch Mike Johnson. He's literally right here. He kowtows and bows to Donald Trump.
But I just want to thank you all. You've been unbelievable. I'll be with you for the rest of my life. I will be with you, and you're going to be with me and with leadership. And Mike, I want to thank you for being a great speaker. You've been really outstanding, and working with you has been an honor. And thank you, and congratulations on being.
He bows 3 times. He literally bows. That's the Speaker of the House. It's just that's it. I mean, it just kind of goes from there. There's really nothing more that needs to be said. 2 disgraceful things there. One is the complete fabrication on the $17 trillion the next few months invested in the U.S. Yeah, right. Okay. Second, war. Yeah. It's a department of the government, dude. Cool your jets. Stop drinking. Cool down. Third, the Speaker of the House literally bowing and kowtowing 3 times to the president. How embarrassing. Again, hit like and subscribe. I really appreciate you listening to this video, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Good night.